senator from Wyoming.
Mr. Chief Justice, I send a question to the desk on behalf of myself and Senators Risch, Hawley, and Moran.
Thank you. The question from Senator Barrasso and the other senators for counsel to the President: can the Senate convict a sitting U.S. President of obstruction of Congress for exercising the President's constitutional authorities or rights?
Mr. Chief Justice, Senators, thank you for the question, and I think the short answer is constitutionally, no. The Senate may not convict the President for exercising his constitutional authorities. The theory that the House managers have presented, I think Professor Turley, testifying before the House, made it very clear, is itself an abuse of power by Congress and is dangerous for the structure of our government. Because the fundamental proposition at the heart of the obstruction of Congress charge that the House managers have brought is that the House can simply demand information, and if the executive branch resists, even if it provides lawful rationales, perhaps ones that the House managers disagree with, but that are consistent with long-standing precedents and principles applied by the executive branch, if the House managers disagree with them, they jump immediately to impeaching the President. And that's dangerous for our structure of government. We're talking about principles here, one based on simply the failure of the House to proceed lawfully. We've heard a lot about the President's not above the law, but as Professor Dershowitz rightly pointed out, the House of Representatives is not above the law. It has to turn square corners. It has to proceed by the proper methods to issue subpoenas to the executive branch. So if the House hasn't issued valid subpoenas, if the House attempts to subpoena a senior advisor to the President, and the President asserts the immunity of his senior advisors, a doctrine that has been asserted by virtually every president since President Nixon and goes back earlier than that, then there's a confrontation between the branches that doesn't suggest an impeachable offense. What it suggests, what it shows, is the separation of powers in operation. That friction between the branches is part of the constitutional design. And as Justice Louis Brandeis explained, that the separation of powers was enshrined in the Constitution not because it was the most efficient way to have government, but because the friction that it caused and the interaction between the branches was part of a way of guaranteeing liberty by ensuring that no one branch could aggrandize power to itself. And what the House managers are suggesting here is directly antithetical to that fundamental principle. What they're suggesting is once they decide they want to pursue impeachment, when they make demands for information to the executive has no defenses. It can have no constitutional authorities or prerogatives to raise in response to those subpoenas. It has to just turn over everything, or it's an impeachable offense. And what that would lead to, as Professor Turley explained, is transforming our system of government by elevating the House and making it really a parliamentary system. As Professor Dershowitz was explaining, in the parliamentary system, the Prime Minister can simply be removed by a vote of no confidence. But if you make it so easy to impeach the President that all the House has to do is demand some information, go to a response from the President that this is contrary to the principles that all presidents before me have asserted, I'm going to stick by the executive branch prerogatives, and then the House can say, well, that's it, you'll be impeached, and if the votes are there, remove the President. You make the President dependent on the legislature. And that's what Gouverneur Morris warned against specifically during the Constitutional Convention, that he warned the framers, when we make a method for making the President amenable to justice, we should make sure that we do not make him dependent on the legislature. It was the parliamentary system making it easy to remove the chief executive that the framers wanted to reject. And this theory of obstruction of Congress would create exactly that system of easy removal. effectively a parliamentary system of a vote of no confidence that is not the structure of the government that the framers enshrined in the Constitution for us. Thank you.